Alright, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take a set of Vortec valve covers. These are off of a 99 454. And they have the fins on them. And I'm going to flatten it out just so it looks different from the factory valve cover. I know you can buy the marine valve covers because they're already flat. But why spend the money if you already have the valve cover? So this is just for aesthetics. It's not going to change any performance or anything. This is just for now, just to do something different. So once again, this is just going to be a step-by-step of how to turn your fin valve covers into flat valve covers. I think it looks good. It's just different, and we'll go from there and let's see how the end result looks like. Alrighty folks, so this is what you start with. You take a factory valve cover, this is what I was talking about on the fins. This has been modified a little bit, that way the all metal will have something to eat into or bite into. So when you put it on there, it doesn't just like flake off or pop off easy. So this is your factory stock valve cover. So I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. As you can see, the fins are gone. Now I could have done a better paint job on it, yes I know, but this is just for aesthetics. This is just to get the engine running in the truck. And I wanted it to look a little bit different than what it was before. And like I said, I like the flat look of it. It looks more like a marine valve cover for the marine engines. And alright, let's see how we did this, and then we're going to put them on the engine. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the engine. Okay, so this is what your valve covers are going to look like once you clean them up. Now obviously I didn't show you how to clean them up because cleaning stuff up is pretty simple. So I'm not going to waste your time showing you a video on how to scrub these. Now I did use a wire brush. Just like that. I bought a little kit. And I used it only on this part, the center. And the reason for that was because I wanted the little grooves to kind of groove itself on there so that when I put all metal, it would have something to bite on. And that's for both sides. Everything else, I just use a scraper and a red Scotch-Brite pad, some thinner, soap and water, thinner, soap and water. They're about as smooth as they're going to get without having to sandblast them. I could have sandblasted them, but this is just temporary. Remember, this motor is temporary. So let me show you what's next. Alright, so what I'm going to use here is USE all metal. Some good stuff. I'm kind of going to get it out of here right now because it really stinks. Be sure you wear your protective clothing, respirator, everything you need to protect yourself from harmful material. So I'm going to mix some of this up, and we're going to put some in here, and we're going to make this flat. Alright, so I'm using the small squeegee. It's not even a squeegee, it's a metal plate. Just get your all metal and stick it in that groove. And make sure you're sticking it in there as far deep as you can. Your first coat doesn't have to be perfect, but try to get it on there as evenly and as best as you can. Obviously. And that's it. Then just let her get hard. Alright, so here's what it looks like. I had to take it outside because this stuff stinks severely bad. Well, let me get this out of the way. I use MAP gas. As we know, this isn't really MAP gas. It's just labeled MAP gas because they stopped selling MAP gas years ago, but that's another story. To heat this up a little bit. Just because I rinsed it off with soap and water, cleaned it up real good. This is the ugliness you're going to get when you put your first layer. It doesn't have to be perfect, but keep it inside where you're going to use it only. Because this stuff is really hard to work with. So that's that. This is what it originally looked like. Alright, let's get the second layer rolling. Alright, so here's what your second one's going to look like. You want to take care around the hole, your oil fill hole, not to get it full of gunk, which would be the all metal. Remember, it doesn't matter how ugly this looks, this is just your first layer. This is just where you're going to start shaping it. You wanted to fill in those big holes. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. Then we'll start sanding it. We'll get it as smooth as we can. And then put one more layer. I didn't do it in front of the camera because this smell is so freaking strong. It'll make you dizzy. So do it outside in a well-ventilated area. Alright. Let's see what's next. Alright, so this is what we look like when it's sanded down. Now, it's not perfect because remember, once again, this is your first layer. You are going to feel a little bit of ridges because there will be some dips depending on how you sand and what you sand with. So I got the corners, as you can see once again. This is the first layer. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about all the little differences. This one came out with more pits, more weirdness to it, as you can see. Especially the corner. Alright, so getting to this stage, now we're going to put the second coat on this. It's pretty obviously how to do it. Or pretty obvious how to do it, so I'm not going to show you how to just spread it on there because it's super easy. And then we're going to sand it again and try to get it as close to almost smooth, perfect as we can. And the perfectness that you want to get out of it will pretty much come in with the primer or putty glaze. And let's do round two. Alright, so this is what it should look like once again. This is really what I was going for here. Even though it looks like indentions, it's a little tall, so that's why it's doing that. Once you sand it, it'll be flat. And this one come out pretty good. And then when we get to this one came out really good, but I put too much hardener. So it got hard really fast. So that's going to be some good sanding right there. I'm just going to use an orbital. Knock it down, and if I got to redo it, I'll redo it. But when you got something like this right here, I'm only using one hand. When you see these little ridges, just get you a razor blade and cut them off before they get hard. It'll make it a whole lot easier on the sanding.
whole lot easier. I know this camera angle is going to suck. And remember, you don't have to be perfect about it. This isn't like we're doing body work on a car or something major. I really need a little tripod. My luck, I'll cut right through my finger. I know that's high, that's not gonna matter. That's gonna have to be done with a machine anyway. I'm not doing it by hand, because this is like 10 times harder than Bondo once it's completely cured. So all metal's really great stuff, but it's really, really hard to sand. So there you go, folks. Let me sand this down, and then, you know, you can see how this looks right here. That's eventually what we're looking for. We're just looking for a flat side of this. All right, let me finish up. All right, so this is what they look like with a skim coat of Bondo and a light coat of the all metal. So let's get some primer on these buddies. All right, so here's the engine. Getting it ready to drop in the truck. Let's change these valve covers out. See if it looks any better instead of having finned. Alrighty, so here's the final product. Once again, I use stainless Allen bolts, my favorite, as you already know. I think it looks more industrial like this. What do you guys think? See if I can straighten this engine up a little bit. Technically, not really. But that's the best it's gonna get, folks. I think it looks good. I like it. Now we're gonna drop it in the truck. Got to change the motor mounts because the headers interfere with the motor mounts, so we're gonna have to put some that have been shaved already. Fixing to come up with a video on that. So what's the best headers for a C10? You're fixing to find out.